What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Batter's Eye. It's been a while since we last saw you guys. We had Roman Kimball on last. That was about 3 weeks ago. Now we're back. We got Max here, and then we got another guest. Talk about yourself. Tell us what you do.
Yeah, appreciate it, buddy. So my name's Cole Newell. I run cnpitching, predominantly on Instagram, slowly kind of treading the waters and Twitter a little bit. But so cnpitching, located down here near Destin, Florida on the Panhandle. Work with a lot of guys down here, off season, in season. And the biggest thing, you may have seen with cnpitching is, the changeup is one of my main things in pitcher development. So I know you guys have a few questions about that stuff, but that's a little bit about me. I'm originally from Kansas City, so you might see some Kansas City stuff in the background, and then moved down here to Florida and just rolling with the punches.
Yeah. So, Max, go ahead. I know you want to talk about stuff.
Yeah. So I'm on your page right now, and you're doing pretty well. Almost 60K followers on Instagram. By the way, follow him. I just want to know, how did you grow your platform to be how big it is right now?
Yeah. So, that's a great question. The craziest thing, I started the page, I would say about 2018. So I graduated college in 2017. I played at a Division II in Kansas. And I graduated in 17, and I wanted to get back into the game. Like once you're done, and you always have aspirations for that next step, but there's a time where you think, I still think I can pitch now. I keep training that way, but I wanted to jump back into the game, whether it was coaching. And so I like Instagram, I'm going to jump on there and just start posting things. So I started that in 2018. And as I was posting, I started to get a little bit of traction, but I was trying to differentiate myself. And I had a little bit of a background in marketing, and I was like, well, I can make some pretty cool graphics. So I kind of just made graphics that explain things and broke it down. It may take you a while to go through all the posts, but they're pretty bad. The graphics are really bad. And I didn't have any videos by then. I didn't have any way to grab the videos, or people wouldn't send them to me. So I start posting, and then I would get a repost on the story from a few a big league, once in a blue moon. I'm like, cool, and you get a few followers there. And I think I just the biggest thing was just being consistent with it and finding my niche. And so my biggest thing in pitching when I was younger and then growing up into the college level was the changeup. So I looked, nobody ever talked about it, very rarely. So I was like, you know what, we're gonna start. I'm just gonna post on it, what tips I've learned, what I think works for guys. And that's altered a little bit since I started the page, which is, I think, a really humbling thing. It's pretty cool to see that, but there's really no, I didn't buy any followers. I didn't really do any marketing as far as spending a budget on Instagram. I think the most I've ever spent was $30 trying to promote the changeup ebook. And I was like, I'm just going to try to do it organically. So, but I think a lot of it was just finding a niche and just being consistent. And luckily, the algorithm fell in my favor sometimes. And it sounds like people will enjoy what I have to say. I graduated with a communication degree, so I could kind of put what I was thinking into words a lot easier than some guys on there, which is not a dog on anybody, but it's just more, I don't know, it's just an easier way to communicate with the masses. So that's kind of how it grew. It's been a pretty wild ride, and I would say with how rough the world has been with COVID and everything, that's when cnpitching blew up. People were looking, and I was posting, and there was no baseball. Everybody was missing baseball, and it just blew up from there. It just went skyrocketed north.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that something that I know you take advantage of, having guys that big league guys that throw very good pitches and are very marketable. You also post a lot about them. You see a lot of Corbin Burnes posts on your page. You see Garrett Cole posts. You also see some controversial stuff because a lot of people have terrible takes on pitching, and you kind of, I guess I'd say, react to it in a way by just putting facts out there. And I think that's also helped. Correct me if I'm wrong. Reels has been a big part of your page over the last year since they've been out. And so I like that. And I think that that's something that's really cool that you use that to build your page up.
Well, you see like
Yeah.
yeah, real quick, Max, when you go in on Instagram and they're like reaching a wide audience with reels, and it's like, okay, well, I guess I'll try it. Like, I hate the way it's set up, in my opinion. Like, for me trying to deliver anything that's informative to whoever, they have to like click on the video and then like click the caption. Like, if I could just post a video and then like how I usually have done it, that looked for me aesthetically, it looked really nice. And then like the reels, even though it helped me grow, it just doesn't look very good, and it zooms in on the video. So
Yeah.
So that's one thing. It's like it tells you to do that, but then you have to have high quality video, and it's just kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask a question about that, and more about like do you ever run into any problems with like copyright with the MLB and whatever? Because I see you post all these clips. Does like the MLB ever like take down any of your posts because you're using their video? Or, like I'm kind of a little confused on how that works.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I try my best to give credit to whoever sent me the video. A lot of times people send me the videos, or I'll grab it from Major League Baseball. One thing I think the reason MLB doesn't go after a ton of people in a way is they're trying to grow the game, especially from a social perspective. So that take of like, why would I hammer at a coach who's doing a teaching moment with a lot of guys, even though they're using our video of Corbin Burnes throwing his cutter or a changeup? I think it's another way. They're like, well, that's growing our game. They're not manipulating the video. So a lot of times I just screen record the video and I'm like, this is a great changeup, I'm going to post it, screen record it, and then I'll crop it so it looks nice. And that happens a lot. I haven't had any issues, knock on wood, luckily. I would explain my reasoning with Major League Baseball if I need to, but for the most part, I try to give Major League Baseball has a watermark in their videos. Sometimes it gets cut off with the way Instagram in the video. So I try to keep it like in there. My audience isn't very large. So I think from a perspective, like since it is a social platform, YouTube has some different ways of catching videos and people post highlight videos all the time. So I haven't seen any issues. If you just try to give MLB credit, I think they really appreciate it. And then, like I said, it's growing their presence in the social world of if that pops up. But I've never had any issues, knock on wood. Hopefully they don't come after me.
Yeah, definitely not now after we mentioned it. So moving on to just now, let's go into the pitching content, like the pitching content of the podcast. Obviously, us being going into senior year in high school, we're just trying to, get to be the best player we can be. And for a lot of our audience, if you're going to play baseball in college, one thing you want to know is how to throw harder. And you hear so many things about heavy lifting and all this stuff, but there's got to be more involved. What's your advice for people trying to throw harder, and how do you really get to that end goal of whatever it may be?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing when trying to throw harder is identifying your weaknesses, but also your strengths at the same time. If you do a really good job of getting down the mound, but you're just not doing it in a very quick fashion, then that's something to address. Or you maybe just aren't quick. If you run slow, it's very hard that you're going to move quickly on the mound. So it's just kind of identifying some weaknesses. A few things that I look at with a lot of my guys, whether they're 13 or pitching in the big leagues, is what I'm not a big guy like breaking down like individual positions. It's like, okay, look at that. Now you're in the hinge in a really good spot. We're going to stop the video. It's like, can you get to a hinge, but also go? Like, can we make our hips into like, I was working with a kid and it clicked for him. I was like, it's like a deadlift, the hinge. It's literally what a hinge movement. I worked with a bunch of personal trainers a while back, and that was like me trying to like engage what they're thinking and what they've learned in the training world. But like deadlift, but you're not going all the way down. It's like, feel that your glute kick out and then your hips. So I try to like find something with each individual kid of like what clicks. But I think the biggest thing there, I don't know if there's really a like specific thing as like you should lift heavier, because I'll tell you what, I've gotten stronger, but I don't like go in there max out all the time. And I throw like 6 miles harder than I did in college. So it's I'm also 6 years older than I was in college, but at the same time, I think a lot of it is identifying your weaknesses. I would say 80% of the time, especially guys like in the high school age, when I was coaching in high school, they don't stretch. There's no mobility. There's no flexibility in their bodies. So they kind of become really tight and tense up there, on top of like tensing up to throw harder. And we've seen over and over, like, try to be as loose as possible. Max and Aiden, you guys have seen this, is like try to be as loose as possible, whether you're hitting or fielding or pitching. Because if we get tight, there's more room. There's less room of motion, but there's also more room for error because you're tensing up. So my biggest things, I would list them out is teach them to stretch and warm up properly. Recovery is a big thing for a lot of my guys. We use at cnpitching here in Florida, we use a lot of Armored Heat. So you probably see me promote those guys a lot. A really good group over there. The biggest thing I like about them is it switches every 2 weeks. So they're able to kind of like not do the same thing over and over. Not trying to plug them or anything, but and I like teaching kids to throw far. I'm working with a lot of guys down here where long toss, they've never done it in their life, ever. I'm like, okay. And I just moved to the area a year ago, and we're building out a long toss program and things that they can just learn to throw the ball with a little more force. Because once you get to like let's say 90 feet when you're playing catch, and like you're throwing hard, like there's something psychological that's like, I'm throwing to 90 feet, like, almost your body knows what it needs to get there. But if we start stretching it out, you got to put a little stuff you didn't know you had into it, and utilizing your energy down the mound. Mm-hmm. So just identifying, don't try to dissect yourself too much. Trust the process. It's a big thing, but ultimately it's learning to throw hard, literally like throwing hard, but also loose and relaxed. So those are some big things. We can dive into this for hours about kind of the velocity building process, but there's really, every guy is so different. Like it's really kind of crazy and interesting. There is not a one size fits all, in my opinion, for velocity and like bodybuilding development, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I know, first of all, I was like a lot of information you gave.
Yeah. I'll go on tangents.
Like,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's good. But like, nowadays it's so like analytical also, like the game velocity, but with analytics, right. A lot of people are looking at RPMs or rotation per minutes now. And like, how big of a role do you think in RPMs play in how much your fastball looks, how the life it has compared to velocity? Like, would you say it's harder to hit someone that's throwing 90 with fewer RPMs than someone that's throwing 85 with really, really, really high RPMs?
Yeah, I mean, 85 and 90, pretty close, both pretty hard, respectively. When it comes to spin rate, RPMs, I dive into direction of what your ball's spinning. The spin efficiency on a fastball is going to determine how much it lifts. So I perceive it in a way that if a guy is throwing low spin efficiency on his ball, the ball is kind of going to come in and it's going to drop, and then the barrel is going to be able to catch it a little better. Like you were mentioning, with having a little better spin rate with all the data metrics, and it looks like it's rising, but it has the vertical movement increases, then you start to see more swings and guys elevating the ball, but they're more successful when they elevate it. And I think the biggest thing is we're seeing is the ball that's down in the zone is getting crushed, while the ball up, guys are throwing, whether you throw 90, 85, the ball up with some life is going to be a lot harder to hit. The way, if you watch a hitter, like the way their shoulders are rotating, they're rotating down. So the barrel's I can't tomahawk it. I'm not a hitting guy. So it's kind of important. Like you saw, I posted on my story today, one guy was like, spin's not that important. And I'm like, well, what spin? What spin are you talking about? He's talking about the spin rate, the spin direction. Like, what are we talking about here? Because I would say it's pretty important. Now, what I say to that is not everybody has those metrics. So you gotta like kind of deliver it a way of training that person to kind of see how their ball's spinning. So I don't know, Max, can you see like how your ball's spinning when you release it?
Well, I can't, but all the catchers who catch my bullpen, they always say I have a decent amount of cut to my fastball. And so actually, like I've noticed in the games, I do produce a decent amount of ground balls and weaker contact. Like, I don't necessarily throw that hard, but I've always heard that I've had lots of movement to my fastball, and I don't know if that's RPMs or it's just cutting. Like, there's like a difference, right? Like there's life on the fastball, but then also like if it moves a slightly bit, it's spinning, but spinning another way, right? Another direction.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, so the way I would deliver it is your ball's cutting. So it could just be the way it's coming off your fingers, the way you're holding it. Not saying that the wrong ways at all, but for guys to get like more life, I've been talking more about like the fastball force creation, which is where you have a camera where you have your fingers coming off at the same time. Because some guys will be middle finger dominant and then their hand gets around it and you start seeing that ball cut a little bit. So it's all about like their ball's tilting a little different in a different perspective. And that's where that ball's interacting with the air and the laces and it's cutting or it's running. So it's when you talk about like getting more life, I wouldn't necessarily say like you need to add more RPMs to your ball. You may just need like change your tilt or change the way it's coming off the seam, because in that way, your ball's going this way, you can get one that goes this way, one that goes down a little bit. So it's just interacting with it. Now there is a small correlation of the higher, especially on a fastball at least, the more spin, backspin you're going to get, the more like life from a running perspective that you're going to get. Not necessarily, I mean, it's true, but I really do believe it's the way the fingers are coming off the ball and the lace. So that's why you see two-seamers typically sink and run a lot more than a four-seamer. It's just the way like there's more space on that ball run through the air. So, but yeah, I mean, I would say those metrics are pretty important if you have them available to you. I wouldn't make them life or death at all. So definitely something to look into.
Yeah, and then to expand on just the metrics a little bit, with TrackMan and all these numbers that we see today, I think it's more. I think you see it more with a breaking ball, and that's kind of where I want to go with this question. How important do you think to have elite TrackMan numbers on a breaking ball is, like per se, like a slider? Is it so important to have that elite horizontal break or whatever it may be? Like, what makes that slider so elite? And is it just because, the grip of it and someone makes it so that it kind of favors the TrackMan numbers, or is it just something that kind of happens more natural? I don't know how.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know how it works.
So we see now when this is when RPMs come into handy, is like those guys that can spin almost 3,000, their balls like take off like frisbees. So it's the way, like with gravity, I don't know, I'm not a physics guy, but the way the ball's like spinning downward, the harder it's spinning, the more it's going to dive. But we're also putting force in the ball, so it's going this direction and diving. I wouldn't say there's definitely guys that favor, like the TrackMan numbers will be like in their favor and they get in the game and it's not a very effective pitch. But we're also seeing where there's similarities between the top guys that throw really good curveballs or sliders. Corbin Burnes, for example, throws a really good curveball. We're seeing like he's got the high RPM. He's got it at almost 12 o'clock this direction. So you're seeing, I guess that'd be 6 o'clock. So you got the 6 o'clock spin direction, top spin, but it's spinning a lot harder. Now, if I go curveball here and start tilting, that's when we get that slider movement. So it's all on how the ball spins through the air. Now, TrackMan, the Rapsodo, like those do a really good job of kind of giving you pretty accurate metrics when it comes to like the horizontal. I would I would recommend, like on a slider, you want the high horizontals. So I know Lance McCullers, he'll throw some pretty wild ones, upwards, high 20s almost, if I remember right. So he throws some pretty nasty sliders. And I think a lot of it, he talks a lot about like the hand coming through. Some of it's God-given and like being able to have a quick arm and be able to spin it very well. But I think a lot of it's just how you're gripping it and how your arm comes through the system. And you got to understand, like, how's your arm moving through? Like, if I'm over the top, I'm not going to try to like copy a guy that's a sidearm, a 3/4 guy. So you try to find what works for you. But we dive into those numbers pretty hard, and I think people get lost in them a little bit and forget like the actual feel and development of the pitch, and then check the numbers. Okay, that one was worse. Let me tinker with this instead of like trying to like play the system a little more. That's my thought on that. I'm a big eye test guy. I like seeing how that ball's moving and then go look at the metrics, because you can tell like if a ball's moving, you know it's going to be pretty good on the metric systems.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you'll see it.
Yeah, and obviously I think it works well if you could combo that pitch with like a sinker that runs in, just like Clay Holmes. Like I'm a big Yankee fan, so I watch every game, and his slider it's all right. It's not that good, but when he combos it with the sinker, it makes it just 10 times better, because up until like 3/4 of the way before it gets to home, you don't know where it's going. So so like I don't know, like I saw the overlaps of the degrom fastball and slider yesterday. And first of all, he throws a slider like 93 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And it has that much movement. So like when you combo that with the 101 mile an hour fastball, you could just see why it's like literally impossible to hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it you'll see with those guys, like the high velo guys, like Clay Holmes throws a pretty hard sinker. But like even though they're putting a lot more force in the ball, it just seems like they can tunnel it a lot easier, because like they're putting more force into it and they can manipulate it where it is moving really late. Like Garrett Cole does a great job too. He's got like 25 pitches he throws. I mean, he has like a cutter, a slider, a nasty curveball, changeup too. So, like he's got a lot of different things, but they do a really good job of tunneling it. I think it was Framber Valdez from the Astros. His curveball like has no hump when he releases it, so it's looks like a slider, but it's not, and it's late and it breaks a lot and it drops a ton. So you do see a lot of guys that do throw harder tend to make it a little easier to tunnel, because it has less time for the ball to get to the plate, because they're throwing a 101 mile an hour fastball. So yeah, they just do a really good job of tunneling. It's pretty hard to tunnel when you throw 75, or like you can still tunnel it, but the ball just it just takes a little longer to get there, and gravity's not in your favor at that point.
Yeah.
I know. If you want to get to talk about basically off of that, like the best pitches your opinion in the league. I know you love the changeup, so I was thinking like Devin Williams changeup.
Yeah.
I know Garrett Cole is a pretty good changeup, but in your opinion, what are some of the best pitches that you think in baseball?
Well, I mean, of course, in favor of the changeup, that's definitely number one on the list as far as like just a generic pitch. When it comes to like individual pitches, you got Devin Williams changeup. The Brewers for some reason have like a bunch of guys that have like really good individual pitches. You can put in Corbin Burnes' cutter in there. Sandy Alcántara has a really, really good changeup. He throws at 94, 93 miles an hour. So it's almost like a sinker. So it's pretty wild what he's doing right now. I think Major League Baseball has Sandy's changeup rated the number one, based on like StatCast and run value, all these weird metrics. Devin Williams, he's up there as well. His changeup. Devin Williams, I think, has the lowest batting average against on his fastball. So we can't overlook his, mid 90s fastball. He's got like 98% spin efficiency. So his has got a little bit of life going through there. We see Michael King's got a really good slider, so you could throw his in there. There's just a lot of guys. Kyle Wright, his what is it? He got like 4 different curveballs in his changeup. They're devastating. So I would say the top pitch in baseball. If I have to choose one in particular, I mean, it's going to be hard to beat like a degrom fastball. Degrom's got a really good slider too, and a really good changeup. Scherzer's got really good changeup. So you kind of got to find guys that can get it done. And when you talk about like a Garrett Cole, way he's been throwing really, really well. Nestor Cortez, he's got some good pitches, but classify, like I said, it's got to look good to the eye. There's pitches in baseball that aren't very pleasing to us, and they're just like, but they get a lot of dudes out. So, but I do like the guys that looks really good. It throws it hard, and looks like a blitz ball at the last second. So, but yeah, with the changeups, definitely Devin Williams, Sandy. Who else is on that list? You got Pablo Lopez on that list. So you do see that, but I need to post a lot more breaking balls. I think that helps a lot of, but you go Kevin Gausman splitter. He's got one. Logan Webb's got a good changeup. There's so many good pitches, but give me DeGrom's fastball. You give me a Devin Williams changeup, Corbin Burnes cutter.
Verlander fastball.
Give me a Verlander fastball. Give me a Verlander slider. Give me a Verlander slider right now, because that thing is coming off, and it does look like it's going right down the middle every time, his slider, and it'll fly right out of the zone. Give me a Lance McCullers slider too, and a changeup. Give me all of Lance's arsenal right now.
Shout out Lance.
Shout out Lance. He's got a really good arsenal. But yeah, there's Joe Ryan's got a good fastball. Zach Plesac, watch out for his slider is really, really good. Nobody talks about his. So yeah, those are just a few to name. A couple name drops.
Chapman splitter.
Chapman splitters.
Not right now.
Have you seen the Chapman splitter?
Okay,
No, not
right now.
Not now.
Oh yeah. Chapman's got a really good splitter. He was tinkering with the changeup.
Ohtani has a good splitter also.
Yeah.
Ohtani's arsenal is nuts.
Yeah.
That's something completely different.
Gosman's got a good one.
Yeah.
Gosman's was, I know you guys, that's AL East, but was it Tanner Houck from the Red Sox? He's got a good one too. Good slider.
Yeah.
Really good slider.
Tanaka always used to have a good splitter, but
Yeah.
Went to Japan. Back to
Ohtani splitter. Go Ohtani splitter. I'll take that one as well.
Okay. Here's a fun question. I did not plan for this at all, but now about it. Let's build a guy. I guess we could go 5-6 pitches, but you can't take the 2 pitches from the same guy. You take 1 pitch from each guy. So you take a fastball, a changeup, a slider, a curve, a splitter, and if you want like a 2-seam, like I guess you can take like a 2-seam
sinker.
Sinker. All right, perfect.
Sinker.
So 7 pitches.
We'll start with.
We'll start with that. If we forget something,
we'll go fastball first. I'm gonna go with DeGrom.
Okay.
DeGrom's a pretty easy answer in my opinion. I would go sinker. Give me Clay Holmes at the moment. He's got a really good sinker. There's a few other guys that got good ones as well. And then you go changeup. Now I get really, really obviously I dig into the changeups more than any other pitch. But this one, the common answer is going to be Devin Williams. But if I go based off of right now, Devin Williams is a very sleeper for reliever of the year. But just because I want to go off on a limb a little bit, I'm going to go Sandy with his changeup, just the way it moves and how hard it is. And then we'll go splitter. We'll go. Give me a. I go splitter. We'll go with the favorable answer. We'll go an Ohtani splitter, just to make the masses happy, and then we'll go slider. Man, there's a lot of good sliders. I think I was just posting one the other day. Let me skip that. We'll go curveball. Give me a Valdez curveball. Framber Valdez curveball from the Astros. Whether this machine pitcher is going to be lefty or righty, we want that curveball. And then slider. Man, this is a good answer right here. I'll go Clayton Kershaw slider. Okay, so we'll go Clayton Kershaw slider.
That's a good one.
I would, yeah. So his he does a really good job tunneling his slider with his fastball. That's not what it used to be, obviously. He's older, but the future Hall of Famer, I mean, because everybody's almost expecting that tumbler, that slider is his best pitch in his whole arsenal. And then Corbin Burnes' cutter will be the last thing. We got to throw that one in there too.
Okay.
So a good little list. So you go Class A. Was it Class A from the Guardians? He's got a good 102-mile-an-hour cutter. So you always add that one in there too. But I think that's a good little ideal pitching arsenal.
That guy throwing no hitters the entire season.
Yeah, you can go MLB The Show and make that guy right now. I think I did. He's like a 99 overall. A lot more fun. I just start carving dudes up.
You might have just given me a video idea.
Yeah, you should.
I'll do that.
Make him like 7 foot too, just to see how the game interacts.
He has to have the Darren O'Day pitching windup.
Okay.
Yes.
Darren O'Day. All right, let's see. I'll put this guy in the show right now, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But
that'd be pretty cool.
All right, we'll figure that out. Now, there's one more question I wanted to really end on, and it was just talking about your experience with all these guys, whether they're college guys, big league guys, but what are some of the best, I guess, experiences you've had with guys, and what have you really done that, like, what's, maybe whether it's one or two notable things that you've worked on with someone and it came to show improvement, whether it was in the major leagues, whatever they pitch, and what was that, and how did that happen?
Yeah, I think there's a common thing, especially we'll start with like affiliate guys. Most of these guys that are getting drafted, like the top guys, I mean, they've been a dude for a long time, I think. And then they get into the affiliate ball world and, failure starts kicking in, and guys that could rely on their fastball a lot more often, they're getting crushed, even though they throw hard, but that's a little easier to barrel up than, you trusting your off-speed stuff. So one thing I've told a lot of affiliate guys, they'll ask a question and I'll be like, okay, what are your splits in your games? What are the cases? And they're just not throwing enough of their off-speed, not throwing enough changeups, sliders, curveballs, or they're just going curveball, fastball, but kind of being predictable when they're going elevate, breaking ball down, but they're doing that almost in a religious fashion over and over. So my biggest thing is for them to kind of, they failed. So what they've done their whole life is not working at a level where they're starting to get paid, and it's a professional world and it's their job, and a lot of it's on the line. You got a dream. So trying to identify with them that they have an ability and that they need to trust their other stuff that they've been working on. Once that clicks, you start seeing them kind of, now they're in AA, now they go to AAA. Now, you get to see dudes you talk to in the big leagues. And that's all come from them throwing splits and being able to throw 50% fastballs and then 20-20-10 or whatever they're doing. I'm a big believer. I posted this, I think, earlier or yesterday, where like 25% changeups and above, those guys are starting to dominate the game lately because the tunneling effect has been really helpful. So trying to relay that to a lot of my high school guys, and then even my middle school kids, is, you can come in and work with me. But where there's gonna be times where you just don't feel good, but it's what mentally can we work on that day where I may have thrown 6 straight balls out of the zone. And so trying to instill confidence, but also trust in what their ability and their pitches is the toughest thing to do with most pitchers. So that's what you see such at the younger level. And then with the big league guys, now you're working with their minds are a little bit different. And there's a reason they're in the big leagues, right? It's because their minds work a little more complex and they're a little more involved, and they do their scouting reports, and they they throw different splits and different matchups. And you see a lot of guys, like affiliate guys, they don't watch video, or they don't do what they're going to do for that game plan. Mm-hmm. They just go out there and trust their stuff. I got drafted in the 3rd round. I'm going to go trust my stuff because that's what got me here. Yeah. So it's very tricky with the big league guys. And it's kind of, this comes down to communication, is being able to communicate with them at their mental level as well. Cause if you go in there and you can't deliver a message to them, they're gonna be like, okay, dude, like I guess I'm just gonna go out there and try to get Mike Trout out. Like, good luck. And so we see. I mean, I try to keep up to date with all my guys and be able to see how they did. And luckily, I can go in and dive into each pitch after every outing and go from there. But yeah, it's just really instilling like trust in their stuff at all levels. And we're seeing I'll get like a 10-year-old come in and work with me here in town, and they're already throwing like 3 different breaking balls. And I don't think we need to get to that point of like really trust your stuff. You're 10 and you throw a slider curveball. We don't need to get to that in depth that early, in my opinion. So those are a few things. Those are a few things that I talk with those guys. And you got to know your audience, because you got to deliver. Maybe it's a very simplistic message, or maybe you got to dive into the metrics and start dissecting it for them. So those are a few things.
Yeah. And so, I mean, obviously I feel like it's so hard to tell what changes on these higher levels of the game when you're going from single A to double A to triple A to the MLB level. It's like the competition is still major league talent and pro baseball. And a lot of people don't tell the speed changes. So I don't know from a trainer standpoint, because I have to do my research to do what I'm doing. And so does Max. We all do. And separate research. I know you specifically dive into each pitch and everything. We dive into the game and what these guys are, doing. But what's something that kind of stays the same, that other than, instilling the confidence, what's something that has to stay the same for a pitcher? Obviously the mechanic and obviously all that, but something that, I guess, a less obvious answer that you kind of tell these guys as they're moving up in these games where the competition is getting better, what's something that you kind of make sure that they stick with, something that, will keep their head in where it is, if they have success on one level and they start to, see less success in the next level.
Yeah, I think you start seeing, especially when they start jumping up to different levels and going up, not down. The game is still the same from a perspective, but they aren't throwing as many strikes because they start pressing. So you get to a point where it goes down to the basics of baseball, where you've got to get ahead, because if you get behind, I go out to AA games a lot in Pensacola, Marlins AA, and you see guys that get behind, the ball's going to get crushed. It's going to get crushed because you're down 2-0. Well, what are you going to do? You throw a fastball and that ball gets absolutely demolished the higher you go. So the biggest thing is being able to identify, like, get those strikes in the early. Now the biggest thing is for guys, like, the higher they go, is they don't understand that they've got to make their strikes look like they're going to be balls, and then the balls look like they're going to be strikes. So that's a lot easier said than done, right? So trying to identify what your stuff does and be able, like, okay, well, I get a little more rise on my fastball if I aim it a little bit lower or a little bit higher, or there's just whatever the case is. Your ball is going to look like a ball, and it's going to come in a little bit different. Then you see guys like another, we'll drop Lance again, since you talk to him, is his sinker will run glove side and come back over. Well, that looks like it's going to the left-hander's batter's box, but it's coming back over the plate. So it's just kind of playing with that stuff. But the biggest thing is you see guys that walk a lot of dudes they get hurt more often. And that's a very obvious answer, but it is a thing that becomes a big liability the higher you go up in those levels. You see it in the high school level, you see it in the big league level, you see it the minor leagues, little league, whatever the case is. You walk a dude, you're giving them free bases.
Yeah. And so that was, I mean, that was great for where I wanted to start wrapping up, but there's one more thing I wanted to really get with you on, because this MLB season's about halfway done. All-Star break is coming up this weekend. I just want your Cy Young lists, because, you definitely been watching it better, keeping track on the pitching better than I have. So let's hear it. This is going to be posted on TikTok, Reels, Instagram. So make it controversial. I want views.
Man, controversial. Well, we'll start with just because
realistically controversial.
Controversial. Okay. We'll go National League because that I think is almost a lock. Kind of. Yeah, Gonsolin and LA, who's still in a really good season so far. But Sandy Alcántara is in Miami. He's got to be the top pitcher in baseball at the moment with degrom on the IL. So I would go Sandy's probably Cy Young on the National League side, and the American League side, man. You want my what I want to see instead of what I think will happen. I want to see history. So I want Justin Verlander to get another one. So he's one below I think he's got 3.
I think something.
So he's trying to get to 4, which is the Roger Clemens, the Randy Johnson level of Cy Youngs. So I want to see Justin Verlander. He's having a really, really good first half. But it'd be pretty wild to see Ohtani win a Cy Young after an MVP. So I would go with the way Ohtani's been pitching lately. What is he? He's got more RBIs than earned runs in his last few
games.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, so I would go. Yeah, Sandy is an obvious National League Cy Young, and then maybe because baseball writers sometimes are in a little favor of trying to be controversial, you could go with Ohtani just because he's modern day Babe Ruth as American League. Oh, you know what? We're going Shane McClanahan from Tampa. He'll be American League. I knew I had someone in American League who I was missing. So Shane McClanahan from Tampa. That's someone real quick. Here's his changeup, and then he just rolls over his middle finger. So it's like a splitter grip, and then because typically a splitter's like this, but he rolls over it. It's nasty. Something I'm tinkering with and gonna do a lot more stuff on. But yeah, we'll go Florida boys. I'm in Florida. We'll go 2 Florida teams. We'll go Sandy and Shane from Tampa. Sandy throws tonight. Today's the 15th of July, Friday night. So Sandy throws tonight. That's something I'll be watching. But those are my picks right now. I think those are good picks.
All right. I mean, Yankee fan.
Man, I just hammered you guys, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The game we went to was actually the Astros game that Lance hooked us up with was the Verlander game. He totally just carved up the whole Yankees lineup. Besides the Giancarlo Stanton home run.
Well, it was 1 hit, 8 innings, and the 1 hit was a solo shot from Stanton.
Was that the one he had a no-hitter going through through 6 or something?
It might have been. But then his next start, he faced the Mets at Citi Field and he did the same exact thing.
Oh yeah.
It was crazy, yeah.
Right off Tommy John, he's upper 30s. It's pretty impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah, I can't say this. Never mind. I'm not going to say I want him to win one.
We're going to say Garrett Cole?
No. I was going to say I want to
Nestor
win a Cy Young.
No. I was going to say Nestor. You don't want to see Nasty Nestor win one?
No. I do, obviously. But as a Yankee fan, I don't think I could well, it's too late. I don't think I can say this without being slammed. When I post this, when I post this, if I post this on Instagram, what I do, I will post this in Reels. If you check the comments, everyone's going to be fake Yankee fan. Oh,
here's the way you got to look at it.
Okay,
you got to look at it.
Look at
it from this perspective. You don't want any of the Yankee guys to win a Cy Young because then you have to pay them. And
Garrett Cole's already getting paid $45 million.
That's what I'm saying. You already got one guy making $1 gajillion. You don't need.
I don't want Nestor to win a Cy Young. I want him to be good and not win a Cy Young.
Yankees don't care about. Well, maybe they do care about individual awards, but you guys need a World Series, or else
Judge leaves.
They have to make some moves at deadline because they actually have a chance to win it this year, so they have to move some.
They got Tyler Wade. That's a good addition.
Yeah.
Because I think he's the worst defensive shortstop in the league this year.
Luis Castillo, who they're going to grab one more arm.
I think the Dodgers are going to grab him.
I don't know if the Yankees have anything in the system to even give away right now.
I think they have 2 top. They have 3 guys and
a pretty good system.
Depends what the Reds' asking price is for Luis. They want half the system, and
no,
I don't want the way he's been pitching. He's been pitching pretty well. Didn't he cover up the Yankees last night? He covered up the Yankees last night a little bit.
He did. He did.
I saw your post about it. Don't worry.
I almost added in there. Well, so many times I posted either Judge or Stanton or Mike Trout, like top hitter, Juan Soto, like striking out on a changeup, and I'm like, see what happens. But the best hitters are getting out with changeups nowadays, and I almost did that for Stanton, but
stop.
It's hard when you hit 50 bombs and strike out 200 times, and
I think you did post that for Stan. That was a nasty pitch, though.
It was a good pitch. Yeah, Yankees will be fine. They're up 30 games right now. I think they'll be all right.
They're actually they have a 4-game series against the Sox or 3-game.
We have three games against Boston.
Yeah.
Now and then
the All-Star game,
and then 2 Houston All-Star game, and then they come back and they face Houston in Houston twice.
Yeah.
So
the Sox are on a skid right now. It's actually
the Sox are on a skid. They beat us they beat us in 3 out of 4 last weekend.
No, it was a split series. 2-2.
Oh no, it was 2-2. It was 2-2. Yeah. The Yankees won the first 2, and then the Red Sox took the last 2.
I forgot.
But we've lost 4 out of the last 5. Lost 2 to the Reds, so it's by 1 run.
I just saw something on SportsCenter this morning. It was like July skid. The Yankees are 6-6 in July. Their worst record. Their worst record in the first 12 games of the month all season.
Yeah, right before the All-Star break, everybody's checked out right now. They need the couple days.
Hey, Cole, what's your favorite team, by the way?
Man, I'm from Kansas City, so the Royals, I guess. I don't really. I follow guys like a lot of. I've been following a little bit. I think the Marlins are on the up and coming right now. There's a lot of Atlanta Braves fans here in this area, so that gets kind of annoying to see. Just because I don't mind the Braves. Probably get a little heat for this, but there's a lot of Braves fans. But I'm a follower. I like the Yankee history, so I grew up a. This is kind of sound kind of crazy, but I grew up a Phillies fan. My whole most of my childhood. In the winters, my dad had a little like in his warehouse. We had a little batting cage, so Ryan Howard from the Phillies would come in and hit because he was good friends with my hitting coach. So he would come in. So that turned me into a Phillies fan. I was a huge Cole Hamels guy. So yeah, but I think as I've gotten to know more guys in the league, I start kind of like following them a little bit. So
yeah,
it's kind of crazy. I like more hats at different teams than I do like Kansas City teams. So except for the Chiefs, that's definitely I don't like any other football team except for the Chiefs.
Okay, so
yeah, there we go.
I'm a Patriots fan, so it's really like that.
That's all right. Rough couple years ahead of you.
It's fine.
Mac won't be nothing, man. Sorry to hear it, but hot take. Mac Jones might be a little bit of a
Juju's not going to be anything for you guys. I'm not sure.
Probably not. I think it's Sky Morris you need to watch out for. A lot of big talk on Sky Moore.
I'm sorry. The Giants are going 500 or above this season. 8-1.
No, they're not.
8-1, and that's how I'm slamming the door on this podcast because the Giants are going 500. The Giants are going 500.
You guys say that every year.
Mark my words. The Giants are going 500. When they don't,
that's the worst record in the last 5 years.
Okay. Yes, I know it's our time. Saquon Barkley will be back. When they don't go above 500, because I'm sure I say it, and they probably won't. Just like every year. You could come back and quote me on this and make fun of me because that's what happens with, especially you, Max, every single year. It's frustrating being a Giants fan.
At least you're not a Jets fan, so whatever.
Sorry, Zach Wilson is it's controversial. I can't say he's a legend, but I hope you're watching this, Zach Wilson. Please watch this and comment on this. That was a great cover up Instagram caption. Actually, if you guys did not see that, I'm gonna put that up on the screen just because we're a baseball podcast, but talking about football is fun.
It is fun.
I'll read this caption that he had. What was it? It was like, this was right after everything came out, and he goes, took the boys to some club. I don't know. He added the club. Took the boys to Idaho before camp. Poor call service. What did I miss? Or poor cell service. What did I miss? This was wild as his rumor with his friend's mom was going out or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
That was a very funny, very good timed post.
Yeah.
Caption. But yeah, so we talk a little bit of football, talk a little bit of baseball. I think that's a pretty good podcast. I mean, never really talked about football on here yet, but
there we go.
Yeah, football is a good warm up for pitchers before they throw. You know what?
Yes, great. Great cover up right there. That's nice. I like that.
I do.
Build the football. I like it.
Throw the football. There's some advice from a pitching analyst. Yeah.
Well, you see all these quarterbacks who are also baseball studs, like Kyle Murray, Wilson, Tom Brady,
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
That is true. I did not think of it.
Jackson. Yeah, Sanders.
You said Jackson who?
Jackson.
Oh, okay.
not.
Yeah, I think Aiden and I were on the same page there.
Not Jackson. Not that Jackson.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny. Yeah, Bo Jackson was a freak.
Bo Jackson, yeah. A lot of big athletes in baseball. But
the thing about baseball players, I feel like they're very versatile athletes. Like I don't think a basketball player could go into the box and swing a bat, but a baseball player could compete a little bit, maybe in some basketball or even play football.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. I mean, did you see Zach LaVine hitting bombs at White Sox batting practice last week or 2 weeks ago? That's just something that I had to bring up since you said basketball players can't hit, but whatever.
But he's also seen videos of Giannis who's going in there and looks pretty bad swinging the bat. And
that's fair. That's fair.
But we don't see very many. I think we don't see very many tall hitters besides an Aaron Judge. Judge might be the only. Who's the other?
Oneil Cruz.
Dave Winfield. Oneil Cruz. Dave Winfield was huge. Wasn't he? Was 6'6", 6'7". So I mean, there's a lot of very. I would say there's a lot fewer tall hitters than there are. Mm-hmm. Short basketball players. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a comparison, but I mean that might be why they play basketball. And
now, Oneil Cruz brought me to a question that I have to close it out, and we're closing this out because I can't take it. I gotta go check on my dog downstairs. There's a lot of stuff I gotta get to today.
My dog is losing his mind out here. It's all right.
Oneil Cruz threw 98 or something across the diamond yesterday. If he steps on the mound, I know it's very different, but what do you think he's topping out at if he goes on to pitch? If he actually tries, obviously. I don't know.
If he legit mechanics
throws
triple digits, 100 miles an hour.
Really?
Think about it. Did you see his throw? Was it last night? It was 97.8. Think about it. He's not even using his legs. 6'8". He's releasing it from 40 feet away. So you think about that perspective. He's already throwing 97 across the diamond with a quick sidearm. I mean, we can only imagine if the guy actually was pitching. You can get a little more into your legs and utilize your little more rotation. I mean, we've seen slow-mos of infielders. I mean, I really do believe you probably he'd touch 100. I would say he would sit where he's thrown across the diamond a little bit. But you see guys that if you go to showcases and they're throwing, let's say they throw 90 across the diamond, those same kids throwing 90 plus on the mound.
Okay.
Yeah. There's two different mechanics, but a little more emphasis. More emphasis and explosiveness on the mound. Yeah, and you got an angle, man. You're going down an angle.
Definitely.
Get a little help.
You think he's controlled though, or no? Okay. So
not right now.
Okay. I just wanted to see what you thought because that was insane. That was the fastest throw by an infielder.
You saw Jackie Bradley against the Yankees touch a 90.
Yeah, that's true. The Yankees they hit a home run off him. Huh?
Do we have any metrics of what Ohtani would throw from the outfield?
No, I don't think so.
I'm sure we can find it somewhere. Google
it.
It might be something I'll post later.
Okay. Post that, please.
Yeah, I'll tag you guys and be like, this is a conversation we were having on the podcast.
I can send you the clip, and then I could I could do that. I could send you the clip, and we could find that, and then you could post that later.
I don't want to be that guy that like starts breaking down an infielder's throw and what it would be for.
No, I wouldn't do that, but
no, we'll try it. We'll try it. But I do think it. I mean, dude. I think the cameraman couldn't even catch up with it. If I saw last night,
he couldn't. Yeah, that was nuts. I've never seen something like that. I've never seen anything like it.
Mm-mm.
All right.
No, it's pretty impressive.
All right. So, on that note, we've been filming for like an hour. We've been in here for like 15 minutes longer than that. So I'm not gonna keep all of us here. But any last words you want to say to anyone watching?
No, I would just appreciate you guys for keeping me on here. I know nobody really gets to see my face very often, but it's nice to kind of jump on here and explain a few things that I think of. And it's I don't have any like groundbreaking ideas. I think a lot of it is just being able to deliver things correctly to guys. And I'd just say biggest thing for all pitchers out there, just believe in yourself and trust the stuff you've worked on all off season for and in season and learn from those failures. That's the biggest thing. It's baseball.
Yeah. Max, any last words?
No, it was a great conversation and just really happy to keep doing this podcast. I've learned a lot of stuff, especially now. I'm in the recruiting process now. I'm trying to recruit it. I'm taking all information and tips that I get from all of our guests, and it's really helpful. So I thank you a lot for
That's
coming
awesome.
on.
Yeah,
absolutely. We'll do it again. Don't worry. I would just say with the recruiting process, man, just it's almost like a job interview. Have video. Seems and be respectful to everybody, and like I said, trust your stuff, man. You guys will be fine.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, and and I mean, on my end, thanks, Cole. Had this planned for a while. Tried to get this done a few times. Didn't really get a chance to until now. So, great that we finally did get this done. And I'm excited to have you back on in the future for sure.
Absolutely.
Maybe looking if I'm ever down in Florida, down by you, get a video and do something fun there. But thank you once again for coming on. And thank you everyone for watching. And I'm Aiden with the Batter's Eye, and we'll see you next week for a huge episode with someone I will not name until later. But you guys all probably know who it is because we've been talking about it for weeks. So you'll see it then. Thank you guys for watching, and that is it.